All right, that might be in the
Good afternoon. Welcome to the May 27th alternate meeting time of the Mid River White Cement Bridge Authority. We'll just jump right into it. I think we've got quite a few things to try to cover today. So roll call. I see Grant, Arthur, Mike Fox. You're all voting members. I see Catherine Thomas online as first alternate. Myself and Keith and Ben are here in the room. And I believe that is it from Washington. So we will all be voting today. All right. Are there any modifications or additions to the agenda for today? Hearing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as presented. Meeting minutes from the May 11th meeting.
I would move that we approve those minutes as submitted.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have the opportunity for public comment. We're going to try to keep that 3 minutes per person. And we will shut that off at 30 minutes total. Is there anyone on the line that would like to make a comment? Hearing none, is there anyone in the room that would like to make a public comment? I'm getting no's. So we will move on to executive reports. Mr. Michael Shannon.
Yep.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let's go. You just skipped yourselves. But...
And I had something I wanted to say. Grant, do you have anything?
Scarlett was in the newspaper. Nothing else.
I would just like to throw out a thanks to Mike Fox for putting together the workforce effort. You kind of talked about an idea, and it was this thing that kind of floated around, and then it happened. Fantastic event. I just thank you for kind of you championed that, and it took a lot of people to pull it off. But
it took a lot of people to pull it off, and Mike, HNTB, Keywood, a bunch of folks. Definitely Dan.
Yeah.
Was very much involved in making it.
It was great to see all those kids out there, and really fun to see. Some of them were just into high school, sophomores, that sort of thing. So that was great. All right, Michael Shannon now.
No problem. So we continue coordination with HRWSBA on the travel MOAs. What we've heard from them on the MOAs is the Umatilla, they're going to hold on signing that until we get through some of this NEPA evaluation related to the cultural resource clearing for the north access, which was outside of the previously cleared footprints. So they want to make sure that all of that has been completed and coordinated. They don't want to sign an agreement and then have go back and edit something or revise something. So that will be on hold for a little while. The other three, Yakima, Warm Springs, and Nez Perce, we continue to meet with them. FHWA is fully aware of the schedule of the project, and we want to start construction and when we would need the MOAs, and they have said that they will meet that schedule. So we will continue to move forward with that and track the progress. So, but I haven't counted recently, but I would say we're getting really close to 200 meetings that we've had with the tribes. So,
one other change you want to maybe indicate was the construction zone, the number of zones.
Yeah, so when through the conversations in the communications committee development or communications protocol development, was we had originally set up zones between every pier, and what we heard was that was really just going to be too complex to try to communicate. So we set up now 3 zones. So we have what we're calling an Oregon zone, which is south of the channel. We have a channel zone, and then we have a north of the channel zone. So the idea behind the communications protocol is that the tribes will set up their fishing windows whenever that is set. They will call somebody on the project and let us know what the dates are, and we will let them know if any of the zones are open. And then they can relay that information out. So we're trying to keep it as simple as possible. We don't want to be in the mix of trying to set the fishing seasons or anything like that. We just want to be responsive to them when they choose to. We have been communicating that the channel will remain open 95% of the time, but the only time it will be closed is if we're actively setting something above the channel. And then just for safety reasons, we would not want, anything going up and down the channel. But that was another reason in clarifying it, was to make sure that we could talk about the channel being independent and remaining open so that we're not ever cutting off their ability to move up and down the river. Most of the Oregon side is actually within a exclusion zone, I would call it, that exists on the river for commercial fishing. It doesn't apply to subsistence or ceremonial fishing, but the commercial fishing, there's no commercial fishing allowed on the Oregon side. And our bridge falls within that. So, a lot of the impact is actually pretty reduced because of that. So, the CDS money, we're working with ODOT. We've sent some more information to them to update the STIP, aligning our values for the different phases of the STIP right away, the state transportation investment plan. I think that's right.
Good enough.
That in order to get the right phases, improvement plan, in order to get the right buckets open. So as you get funding and you want to go into the next phase, you have to have funding to put into that phase. So we're working on getting the right of way phase funded. We're using the CDS money to do that, to get that phase open so that we can start moving forward with the right of way. So we're continuing to work with ODOT. We have to get their service agreement in place in order to get the CDS part in place. So we've been working with Rob on getting that taken care of. So, but it's not in his hands. He has to wait on his headquarters folks to do their part. And it's time consuming process to do that. So, PDB.
This agreement is the AG's office.
Yeah, and they just backed up, I guess, to get that done. We'll skip the bridge monitoring for now. Kiewit continues to work on it. It's part of the informational items. We're going to have them do an update on where we're at. So, bridge investment program, that grant is still pending. We have not heard on that. Lots of rumors about when that's going to come out. Sometime in the next 3 to 6 months. I'm assuming we'll hear something, but no real definitive date on that. There has been some movement to start discussions in DC about reappropriation funding. So I think the House, and Dan, are you going to cover this?
I can.
I'll let Dan, unless you want to do it now.
I sure can.
Okay, go ahead.
Sure. So we're talking about the surface transportation reauthorization here, which is how federal transportation programs get funded. The last one, the IIJA, was passed in 2022, 2023, that funded the bridge investment program. So those programs expire this year on September 30th. So unless Congress passes a short-term extension, they would need a full new package. Talks are proceeding in the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, which is the big authorizing committee within the House, did pass a package through the committee, $580 billion total package, about 9 and change billion of that for what they're calling the Bridge Completion Program. It's modeled after the Bridge Investment Program, but would fund projects differently. Most of that would be formula funding that would move through the states. So that would just give the states a share based on whatever formula they come up with, and then projects would have to compete within the states for that funding. There are a couple set-asides in there, including one for non-state-owned bridges. I believe 20% of the money has to be back for those, which I believe we would qualify for. So, this is all very much procedural at this point. It still needs to go through House Ways and Means Committee, still needs to go through a bigger number of committees in the Senate that handle reauthorization for these programs. So there's a lot of process left. We're in a short congressional year already with midterms coming up. So, if I had a crystal ball, I would probably guess that a new package wouldn't pass until the new Congress, but there's increasing likelihood that the current Congress will pass an extension of some of those IIJA programs. Hopefully that would include the BIP. If that's the case, that would be funded with just kind of a proportional share for however long that extension is, which could open up a new notice of funding. This is all just reading tea leaves at this point, but what we know is that this $580 billion package did pass through House Transportation and Infrastructure earlier.
Pretty strong too, like 64-2 or something. I mean, it was pretty supported.
Overwhelming.
Yeah, so.
Catherine, you have your hand up.
Yes, Chair, thank you. I'm sorry, I've had it up for a while, so it's going back to the NEPA question. Commissioner Berger and I just got back from DC where we told multiple people that we had assigned permitting, that permits were done. So based on the conversation that we were just told that they're not done, is there any sort of concern for us talking out of both sides of our mouth when it comes to that? Over.
Yes, I just to clarify what you said there, Catherine, the NEPA process is complete. Permits are not complete. I don't remember us telling anybody that all the permits were complete.
So maybe talking about a potential, not a reeval, but a revision.
Yeah, Chris, do you want to speak to that of what you're working on related to the potential NEPA modifications?
So it's pretty straightforward for any agency that has a federal nexus, and this project has a federal nexus, both with permits that the federal agencies have to issue, as well as receiving federal money. Under that nexus, there's a requirement that NEPA always be a consideration. The project has been evaluated and a decision has been made, which is documented in the record of decision. And beyond that, the project's responsible for ensuring that areas and activities and basically everything we do complies with what those documents have said. And when there's a question, perhaps a question raised because a footprint has shifted, or maybe a methodology has changed, or maybe something else is a little different, we have an obligation to evaluate that, and we call that a reevaluation. Now, this reevaluation, the authority went through previously, was very long time coming. I think it took about 18 months. And that was that particular reevaluation was previous to the record of decision. But now that we have a record of decision, a reevaluation is actually pretty straightforward. It can be as simple as a memo to a file. We would share it with our federal leads and ODOT. They're not required to sign anything at this point. And the outcome is almost always that the NEPA documents are satisfied. We try not to prejudice that and do a reevaluation in an unbiased way. Does that answer the question about what we're working on right now? Was that too technical? I'm not really sure.
I think the other thing to bring out is that on most projects, you go through this at least once or twice during the life of a project. So it's no big concern yet.
Correct.
It's true. And there's some rule of thumb approaches that projects use. One of those is that you almost always do one just as a federal agency gives the gate opening for construction. So the notice to proceed for construction. You almost always have to have something that says, yes, we look back, the agency should be satisfied. The NEPA documents are complete. There's no changes needed. So that would be a landmark for us next year, just before notice to proceed. And then the other one is any major efforts that are in water. So if we did a very brief reevaluation before we did the geotech permitting, before we started that last fall, And of course, we just finished a record of decision, so that was really easy to do. And we'd probably do another one if we had the test pile program move forward next year in its own in-water work window.
Catherine, did that get you what you were looking for?
Yes, sir. I just wanted to make sure that we had clarification because I do know we did say we were done with all permits and we were ready to go. And I just want to make sure that we continue to be squeaky clean. And so we can point people to this exact 16 minutes in. If they have any questions around 16 minutes in, Christy answers them based on the executive director report. Thank you.
Thank you.
No
So
problem.
we were talking about, we were skipping over the BIP, I think is where you left off.
Then just given a report,
Yep.
I had a question on that.
Okay.
So it's the Build America Act is what we're talking about. To be clear, you're saying that it's just been referred out of committee. It hasn't hit the floor yet. And you are somewhat skeptical about it getting through before a new Congress is seated? That's your personal
I am
view?
looking at the House and Senate map and considering just how few legislative days are left.
Okay. Great. Because the National Association of Counties reported this to us as if it was a done deal.
Oh,
And but their language it's not inconsistent with what you're saying.
I hope they're right.
You know, they're choosing to view this as a very positive thing because it advanced, and the 25% for locally owned bridges is something that they consider a big win for counties.
And for us too.
And we happen to fall into that. That's why I wanted to verify that when they consider that a win for counties, they're thinking because that's local bridges that are within a county's borders. But you're saying that we would fall under that also.
We would, yes.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. To you, Michael.
Yep. So the cost schedule risk assessment, you remember we did that back in 2023. We started that process again. We do have dates for that now. We'll do that August the 4th to August the 6th. That's where we'll get a confirmation of our estimate. So we'll go through that. That'll be right after we use the 60% plans as a basis for that. So that'll be good for the project to solidify our estimate and see where we're at and then we'll have that to move forward with. So, and then just the key focus areas is Kiewit's finishing up the borings. I think we've got one or two more in-water borings to do. If nothing major surprises there, I think all of them have been pretty straightforward. Verified some depths and stuff, but no really significant findings. We have one remaining boring where there's some assumptions that are being made on the land side, on Washington side. We're waiting on a permit to be able to actually go do the borings. So that we did some preliminary geophysical, is that the right term? They sent down sound waves and measured and light waves, I think, and measured how deep it was to the rock. Got some good data there, but we still haven't cored the rock yet. So that'll be coming in probably about the next month. Late June, July, we'll be doing that. So we'll get that last information and then that'll be the last piece they need for foundation work on the bridge.
So the barges are still bouncing around in the river. I just saw them just an hour ago, moving in and out of the marina. What are they doing now?
They've got one more boring to do on Vent 7.
There are two borings.
Two borings on 7. Okay, so
They might be working on one of those two today.
So they're just coming for lunch break.
it could have been, could have been wind. If it's windy, it could have been wind.
They're using that.
The wind has been challenging for them,
Yeah.
and so they came in because it was too windy.
Yeah, I haven't been out today to see how
Yeah, so a
windy
bit
it
of a
is.
conflict between the barge and a barge coming onto the bridge yesterday. They were
Oh, yeah.
both sending up big plumes of water behind
Getting out of the
way. Yeah. The big barge continued on its way, and the little barge was clearly backing up and moving.
Yeah.
I think they were
Tight fit.
surprised. Well, I think that this was a barge coming downstream, so I don't think they looked upstream to see that there was something.
I think you're talking about not the barge itself that's got the drilling rig on it. It's been positioned in place.
No, I think the whole
back and forth.
No, I think the whole barge is
Really?
moving.
They could have been because they were moving from 8 to 7, so they could have been moving
Yeah.
over from 8 and resetting up on 7.
Good. You're going away from the channel.
Yeah.
Either that or the barge is in the wrong.
Someone was crossing the channel when a barge was coming down river.
So that's it.
All right. Dan, you talked a little bit already. Is there anything more that you want to add, or did you get your piece in?
I could just say a quick word about
Absolutely.
career day, some stats. We had 7 area high school, between 200 and 250 students, around 30 presenters, really great day. Good experience for the schools, for the presenters. It seemed like everybody was excited and had a good time. It was fun to see kids like writing down their contact info on applications and things to get
With
it.
pencils? Were they using pencils?
Yeah.
Some sort of,
The writing implement.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Well,
I didn't know that they still did that.
very exciting. Just thanks to Mike Fox's great efforts approaching a number of local businesses for giveaways. The kids were really stoked to get their names drawn. I'll just list them really quick. Tumulum Lumber, Home Depot, Rose Hours, Dog River Coffee, Ace Hardware, REIC, and ERS Equipment Rental, and Buy Mart. And then, of course, much thanks to the Port of Hood River for providing us with that great space down on Lot 1, which was more room than we
Perfect.
could ever
Yeah.
for the facilities. They really went above and beyond for us. So thank you to the Port.
So maybe just a little bit of color commentary there. There was a rubber tire crane that was brought in by Barnett. And they set the crane up, put a American flag on it and raised it up. And half an hour later, here comes a fire department with a ladder truck. And they had a flag on the end of their ladder truck and they raised it up higher than the crane. So the crane had to raise it up even higher. So there was a little bit of who's going to be on top kind of a thing. That was kind of cool. There was ODOT. ODOT brought in a motor grader and a big snowplow. What was neat, I was watching them, the motor grader operator that brought it in opened up the cab and there was 6 or 7 kids standing around him, listening to him, how they operate it. And he actually got a couple of them up in the cab and showed them how to operate it and whatnot. That was pretty cool. And then the kids went to 2 of the unions, brought in simulators. And I think Mike even got on there and played with a crane simulator.
Yeah.
That was really powerful and kids really liked it. The last one that I think more, one was Union 598 the Tri-Cities. It's pipe fitters and welders came down and they set up welding booths and actually had the kids actually welding on steel and nobody got hurt, which is a good thing. And then the last one I'll mention, there was
American.
why don't you say it about the underwater?
So American brought in a dunk tank and put one of their divers in it with the air helmet on. And they were down there folding up pieces and welding underwater to show the kids some of the underwater stuff that they did, is talking to the person outside the tank. And yes, the kids really loved it. I mean, I thought they really had a good time.
Sounds like you did too.
I did. It was a blast. I got to run a tower crane. So why would that not be fun? So
And you didn't like,
A lot of
I
the
didn't
presenters
do
were
circles
watching
and I
that
didn't
one.
do, I actually moved 2 blocks and didn't kill anybody. So it was good.
Excellent. Should also say thanks to Representative Jeff Helfrich
Yeah.
and Senator Christine Drazen for attending and giving remarks. We also had staff there from Senator Merkley's office.
so the big question is, what did we develop out of it that can be used to promote the project in DC?
So,
Communication staff are working on that.
Okay.
And
And you took a bunch of video, right?
We did.
You videographers there.
I think Roy had his hand up just a moment ago.
No, I was just cheering for the flag recap and all the other recaps.
All right.
I'll let Dan speak to what media we collected in terms of video, but I know that I worked with Brianna on questions for student participants and for other participants. I know she gathered video, but Dan, I'm not sure what she managed to capture.
They captured a number of really great interviews with students and presenters, so we'll fashion that into some good content for the website and social media feeds. And thanks to Dan Spots from the Gorge News, he was there that morning taking some media there. And I know Roy is working with some Portland area publications as well to send them some content after the fact. Hopefully we get some regional coverage.
But did any of the kids say, boy, this is a really good example of why the Bridge Investment Program should give the money to this project?
No, yeah, staff, they did.
Sure that quote's in there somewhere.
That it happened more or less using those words.
Yes.
More or less.
And then it was, can I have my sticker now? So the deal was, kids got off the bus, 3x5 card, put the name and whatnot, and it went around to each booth, and when they heard the speech, they got a sticker. Once they got at least 10 stickers, they could put it in the raffle box to draw. So they were real quick about, can I have my sticker? Can I have my sticker?
Well, and one of the things I got out of listening to some of the kids was I don't think they realized the career that they could have, and the benefits and the pay rates and things that come along with some of these union jobs now. And there was a lot of them. I think it was a very eye-opening experience as to what their future could look like. And some of the unions said that they were sure that there was 2 or 3 that would end up as apprentices in their programs. I mean, they all seem to make some really good connections with the kids.
So we need to think about, not now, but do we want to do it again next year? And we want to do a lessons learned this week to see what would we do different next year.
So, Mark, I skipped over you. So we'll swing back around and see if you had anything to do on the verbal legal report.
No, we sent out our new form of legal log report yesterday, so it should be in your confidential inbox, the attorney-client privileged inbox. We have kind of moved to a new paradigm where when we get a request, we try and reduce that to writing so that you have a written memo. And we've submitted several of those. And our next task order that we're working on is the bylaws. We have we're going to go through your bylaws, and there are a number of proposed minor amendments to those, as well as the charters for each of your committees, and sync those up and present those to the governance committee for consideration.
All right, thank you.
Just review. So I received a copy of the legal report, and it says clearly attorney-client privilege. Is that is everybody getting those, or am I getting it because I'm on the governance committee, or how does that work?
It went to the whole board. Mark sent it last night around 7, and I sent it out this morning. So
That's 8:42 a.m.
Yeah, once we get into a better cadence, we'll maybe get it out before the meetings.
Okay.
So that way you've got it. Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone actually can get it. So great.
We will certainly attempt to get that out earlier in the future. This is we're kind of establishing a new protocol now with some new team members and trying to reduce everything to writing, and getting all of it down in writing took some time this time, but now we're up and running.
Great, appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Partner updates. Is there anything that we want to add? I see Caroline there. I don't see Rob. Anything you'd like to venture?
Not really. Thank you for allowing us to participate at the fair. I know people had a good time, and we're very enthusiastic about it. Hopefully we can do it again and know in advance so people are there, because it happened to be a day where a lot of people were gone that would have liked to participate.
Great. Well, thank you it was good to see the WashDOT trucks there too.
Yeah, what was cool about that is the one truck that you did bring was one of those articulated trucks that we talked about before that reaches over the side, down under, and then back up. They had one of those there, 62 foot, I think.
It can scratch its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I spent some time looking around on it. It's kind of fun.
Okay. All right, I'm just going to keep moving through here. So we have invoice approvals next.
I will note that Commissioner alternate Flaming is now on the call, so that would be Wilson Flaming and Hirschman voting.
All right, thank you. So we have invoice approvals.
Of the two invoices, one from HNTB and one from Kiewit, was reviewed in the ENC meeting. And we, I don't want to speak for everybody, but we thought it was fine.
With no exception.
Right.
You guys looked at it too. And that's
There was nothing to report from the finance committee.
okay. I would entertain a motion.
I'll move to approve the invoices.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. I think you just like to watch me ask. Watch me squirm. So engineering construction report.
We'll do kind of a quick one here. The key effort we did was listen to a financial report on both HNTB and Kiewit. The key thing there is that Kiewit just last month has revised the schedule for design. If you remember, over the last several months, progress on Kiewit's schedule has been hovering right around the lake curve. We're slightly behind the lake curve. Now it is slightly ahead of the target, which is quite an acceleration. So there was a large 2-date adjustment and a 2-go revision to the schedule. The 60% mark is coming up in June for everything other than the foundations. But there's going to be a submission on the foundations as well in June. It'll be slightly less because of the core drilling, core sampling issue with design. And that'll come a little bit later. So we're going to know, I think we're going to know in the June, July timeframe if we're going to hold the schedule or it's going to slip once we see the 60%. The other thing just to watch is that right now there's a slight underrun, perhaps projected right now of $1 million to $2 million. The next couple of months I think it's going to help tell us whether that number is a couple of million or more than that. Kind of peak coming this summer, and then it drops off pretty rapidly. And the current burn rate, it's got to increase quite a bit if you're going to hit the full number. We suggested to Kiewit that really watch that, because what we're trying to do is harvest funding and use that to go execute other work like the test pile program and some other things. So we kind of really talked to Kiewit about, hey, it's great that you're underrunning, but not releasing that money until the very end doesn't help anybody. You got to release it early with minimal risk so we can put that money back into play. And Kiewit has been receptive to that. So we'll see how we go. We went through a decision log. The ENC committee is not holding up design whatsoever. There's no issues that are waiting or pending an approval by us or a recommendation approval by us. Christy did a great job giving us a permitting update of where we are in all the permits. And again, we went through the invoices, and that's kind of the high point.
All right.
Did you have any other?
No, I think that was good.
I actually do have a report.
you know, we don't have it, it's crossed out, but I was gonna ask because I know you're on your little bit of your own schedule.
Meeting this morning. We actually had two meetings this morning because they kind of conflict. So we had a meeting at 10 o'clock. I met with the Friends of Corey's Land Trust, who wanted to tell me a bit about both the Bellman property and the Yasui property, which they are suggesting as alternatives for the mitigation, for the safe depth mitigation. And so I have a bunch of information. If anyone wants the handouts that they gave me a whole bunch of copies of them. So I brought those for anyone who wants to look at that stuff. And then we had a meeting at noon where we had a normal course of business and discussed insurance, which is up for renewal shortly. He says that within a week or two, he hopes to have an actual quote in front of him, and hopefully there won't be any surprises there, and it won't have gone up by some ridiculous amount. And so hopefully by their next meeting, we should have a decision on approving renewal of insurance for the next year. And bylaws, we've been sort of accumulating a long list of potential bylaws updates. And at our next meeting, we're going to review those that were not quite do that today. Next meeting, we will review those and then bring those forward for broader consideration. And then we talked about a bunch of stuff, which we'll talk about in executive session later.
Great, thank you. So, new business, we've got the determination letter on the 6F.
Yeah, so we went back, we brought this to the board last meeting, I guess. And there were some comments on it. We went back and Stuart revised the memo to be a little more direct in what the authority was looking for. So we wanted to bring that back to the board and see if there were any additional comments or if we were okay to move forward with sending this letter to the PRD and MPS.
So to kind of talk a little bit about it, is the purpose of this letter is for us to challenge the decision that if it's upheld, we need to go buy some other land, like the organization that came to you this morning, Arthur. But what we're trying to do is not have to do that. We want to get credit for the improvements we're making at the port. And if we didn't do those and had to go fund something else, that's going to take away money from the bridge, making both ends prettier, park-like and whatnot, which some of us feel doesn't make a lot of sense. So
a different way of putting that is that we're taking the existing recreation land and we're putting a new recreation amenity on it.
It's actually more than that, because right now, a big chunk of that is in violation with the port buildings on it. So what we're actually doing is improving the situation by taking the port buildings down, putting the new bridge in with a bicycle pedestrian path on it, connecting all of that to the trail system and making both ends into a park-like situation with shrubs and irrigation and so on. And maintaining it as 6F. If we went ahead, and it's my understanding, if we went ahead and did the 3.4 million and buy some other land, that land now is no longer 6F. It is converted to commercial or whatever. So it's actually doing better to protect recreational use by doing what we're proposing to do.
It doesn't change the zoning. It simply removes the easement over it.
Right. So Catherine has a comment, question.
Thank you, Chair. I believe Commissioner Anderson had some points, and I don't know if he's on the call, and I just want to make sure that his points specifically were addressed before any movement on this forward.
He's not here today. He had a conflict.
Yeah, we did send it to him. I have not heard back from him yet, but he does have the latest version.
But you tried to incorporate his comment.
We did. We think we've incorporated them, but we have not heard back to confirm that yet.
So
one other comment on reading the draft. as Mike Fox said, you know, we should take credit for the buildings that are coming down. What I didn't see was some sort of computation of the acreage, because we talk about here's the acreage we're taking away, 1.1, and you know, and do you want to quantify the acreage we're getting back with those buildings being demolished?
We could. We've done that in other letters and other coordination with them. If you feel like it's missing from this, we could add those numbers back in. But
It's an add. It's an add to recreational space.
This letter is, we're going to most likely get the same answer that we have in the previous conversations. It really is a step towards being able to elevate the conversation.
Sure.
We've made similar requests in the past. But we felt like we needed to make one formal final statement that, you know, here's what we're proposing. If the answer is still no, we would like to elevate the conversation. That's really what this letter is about. But I don't think they're going to change their position from what we've heard in the past.
Yeah, it does kind of document though our argument going
Yes.
forward, I think.
Yeah.
And anytime, if you're going to quantify what we're taking away, let's quantify what we're giving back.
Yeah, and we could do that. We can add that in before finalizing it.
Okay, thanks.
So I did have a couple comments. The one takeaway, I kept looking for what we were proposing in real simple terms. And I think it shows up at the bottom of page 7 or 8. And it seems to me that if we started that with what we were told, the basis, what we're asking for, and then why, that might be, it took a long time for me to get to the punchline.
Bottom line up front.
And then the other is,
What do you see as the punchline?
the authority is prepared, it's, I guess it's at the top of page 7, the authority and port request a predetermination meeting. So that's what I think most of this is getting down to, that it's a predetermination meeting for them to put something in writing so that we can take the next step.
But that doesn't summarize most of the text of this. Is telling the story that what we're doing is we're taking existing land that has a 6F encumbrance on it, and we're constructing a new recreation facility on it.
We're improving what we're getting.
Mm-hmm.
I know that you want to make the argument about removing the buildings that don't belong there, but that's not their problem in the first place. To them, that means that we should have done the mitigation earlier. So instead, to me, it's, you know, from an analysis point of view, I think they're going to ignore that. I don't think that helps either side. I think, you know, that should have been noticed, it should have been dealt with, but it hasn't been. But this existing land that has 6F on it, and we're putting a facility there we're constructing a very complicated facility, which when it's done, provides enhanced recreation. That seems like a straightforward message.
It would be great to have that, something that's succinct and simple right near the beginning somewhere, so that you know where you're going.
Right.
The detail and the backup and everything is, my hats off to Stuart and the team that pulled all that together, but something kind of simple so that this is what happened. This is where we want to go. This is why. It seems like a long time, a lot of detail before you understand why.
Not removing recreational use, we're building a new recreation facility.
Right, and access to that.
The other thing that we've talked about is that the letter references a 12-foot multi-use pedestrian bicycle. It's evolved to 20-foot.
Yes.
We kept it at 12-foot because earlier.
So that was the timing of when this was. We were trying to stay true to the previous statements we had made and not confuse the.
Okay.
But yes, at some point we'll have to clarify that we've
But we take the transportation funding for that. So that, I think I don't think that's a strong argument. I think that the strong argument is the bump outs that we're putting that it connects to, and the parkland that it connects to.
Those are more than transportation, yes. And what you're saying is, they often don't look at transportation as an improvement.
Right.
But the overlooks would be something different.
There's a huge amount of work there, and we could probably all sit and argue about syntax forever. I think the big thing is we need to kind of keep pushing the process along.
I think an easy out to say a path, a biped path is transportation, get out of here. That's,
Okay.
we need to not feed that rejection.
Okay.
And the reason, yeah,
The purpose of the letter is to get to the second level and have a discussion.
yeah. So Jake's got a question, I guess. Wait, man. Jake?
Yeah, I was just wondering, are we required to return the land where the current building's located back into recreation, no matter what?
Not if we mitigate for it.
He's asking if we don't build the bridge, does the port have to remove it? Is that what you're saying, Jake?
Well, yes and no. Yes, but also if we do build a bridge, are we required to return the remaining pieces of land back to recreation open space, or are we allowed to repurpose those for other means?
If you mitigate for it, it removes it.
So you can do whatever you want with it.
Well, we'll be a little careful there. Who's going to own that land?
The bridge, well, that would be up to the agreement.
Depends if we've acquired it or not.
Yeah,
Right.
and that,
Right.
yeah.
So theoretically, if we owned it, we could leave it as a blank, something dirt.
Yep.
But there's
a nice statue there. You can do all sorts of things.
Gas station there, whatever.
Which is not what we want to do.
I'm not.
Well, I think part of what you could argue is not removing 6F at the terminations of the bridge is a more aggressive approach long-term to preserving that.
Well, to be clear, the launch ramp requires the parking that is there today. We are going to temporarily be closing that parking off, but the port is looking to provide alternative parking right on the other side through that project. But when construction is done, that parking is required. That parking is needed. So whether the federal government, the 6F process is involved, we still need to provide parking for the fishing access.
Yeah, right. But anything north of that is open, like the upper parking lot. The upper parking lot, the land where the office is.
Right. Okay, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think that
I thought that you had to use that to get, because of the angle, I thought when you cut off some of that and have the slope there, you have to use some of that land where the upper parking lot is to provide the number of spots that we have today.
I don't
No.
I don't think so. Okay.
Yeah,
maybe right.
There may be a minor adjustment.
Until it's engineered, I'm not going to believe it.
We're putting in a wall and reestablishing some parking right there on the north side.
Wall's not diagonal across through the lot, so.
Yeah, it's actually been shifted more to the east. There's less impact than what there was.
So we have a recommendation on the table. We discussed it a lot. I guess the question is, do we need to act on those comments and get the letter out, or do we need to see it again?
I think we've, in terms of the comments I made, I feel like I've stated them clearly enough, and I trust Stuart to do something appropriate unless people are disagreeing with me on those comments. But
I agree with that. Okay. This is a motion item, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I would move that we pass along the comments that were made here today and ask Stuart to update the letter and authorize the chair to sign. Is that authorize the chair to sign without further review?
Seconding. All right. We have a motion and a second for the, and we have a comment from Catherine.
Yes, I do not think this is I would urge us to wait to ensure that the commissioner that raised the initial issues and is also, involved in a lot of these discussions, who's not present, has a chance to review and have comments. I'm not saying, I think 2 weeks, I don't think waiting is going to stop us, but I think we have a lot of comments, and I think we heard, in my side job as a consultant, I would want to make sure that it's clear what's actually wanted, because I don't know if we actually are all on the same page. And I do think that we have quite a few comments to be integrated in this letter. So that's obviously I'm not a voting member, but that is my opinion. Over.
Maybe a suggestion. After, you can't make decisions in the executive board, but we could come out of that board for a few minutes at the end of it, come back into normal session, hear his opinion, and maybe go ahead and approve moving forward, or
Jake will be here later, so we
Jake will
could
be
get his
involved in the
comments.
executive session.
I think part of Catherine's point was that there have been a lot of changes. It sounds like she would like to read a letter with all of those things built into it.
Is that what you said, Catherine? The way I heard it was that you wanted to make sure Jake had a chance to put his comments in, if he has any.
No, I think we as a commission, this is a poke the bear letter. This is we disagree with your decision and we're going to go over your heads. And that is, I think, needs to be we all should agree on how that should be done. I don't think an 8-page letter is the way you do that. I believe Stuart is very good at his job, so I'm not questioning him. I think that we just have a lot of opinions, and the person who initiated the discussion about us not signing a letter has not had his opinion as well. So I just urge us to give this just a pause, postpone 2 weeks. This is not this is not a critical item, and just allow everyone to have a chance to agree with the letter. But if I was there and I was voting, I would not vote to move this forward, just because I think that we don't have a clear view of what this letter is. And this begins a process that could tarnish, enough poking the bear. We should maybe all make sure that everyone has a say in that, because that is a lot of time and staff time, et cetera, et cetera. Over.
Thank you, Catherine. So let's hold on this.
Well, the question is, is the timing critical or not?
It is important to get this conversation
Started.
elevated and started.
2 weeks.
Is it the end of the world now?
So, but if we wait, we know Jake has the letter to comment on it based on his initial comment that put us on this task. We've got several comments that I think need to be integrated in there. And we're going to talk about this topic a little bit more later on this afternoon. So let's hold this decision until after those kind of subsequent items happen today. And then we can decide whether we're going to go forward or hold. But we know either way we have options, I think.
Maybe to keep this thing moving forward, not necessarily the letter, but getting ready for this meeting that we know is going to come. We ought to be getting a few folks together and strategize. How do you want that meeting to proceed? Who should be involved in it?
Mm-hmm.
When we would like to have it? Assuming that this first meeting or the response to the letter is what we expect. No, can't do it.
All right. Yeah, I think identifying 2 or 3 of the commissioners to represent you on this issue would be good to make a decision on. Not today, but something you need to be thinking about is you probably need a subcommittee to take this on and bring it back to the board.
Emphasizes the letter is the first step, and we need to be ready for the subsequent steps.
Yeah.
Ben?
I have a question for Catherine. It sounded like you had an opinion about a kind of a substantive or a recommendation for kind of a different approach for how to elevate this. Have you expressed that? If so, I'm not. Do you mind elaborating?
I just think when we are going to go over someone's head, we should do it in a very strategic way. And I think that I'm concerned with sending a very long letter where the bullet item is, you know, as the chair described, very much embedded in the letter. I think Commissioner Babbitt's, when he spoke, was very clear. I think that would be more of the tone of the letter, I think, moving forward. But it's kind of like, I don't know, it's go get this rock, and I don't know what it would look like when I would see it, but I think I would know it when I saw it, if you will. And I do believe that Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Babbitt have a lot of experience, and I would value at least allowing their time for the letter, if that makes sense. I'm sorry.
So what I hear, I have a general philosophy that if you're making accommodations to move fast, everyone needs to be on board with moving fast. When I hear a clear statement that's like, wait, I think we may be moving a little too fast in this, I want to read it. I never say no to someone wanting to read it, to see it edited and to actually read it and spend the time on it. So I'm very comfortable with waiting 2 weeks to approve a letter that we see that's been rewritten.
Okay, so could we put a due date on when the letter is going to get for discussion today, and then when is it going to get back out to all the commissioners? And hopefully we would have at least a week to look at it.
Yeah,
for the meeting.
Thank you. I know for me, trying to read it Tuesday before we sit down on Wednesday was gonna.
Can I make a recommendation, if you will? Can we maybe assign the two commissioners that are going to work on this and have them put some time on the letter? So I can tell you, if I were going to represent this on behalf of the commission, I would want to have more input on it than I feel like I need to have, you know, as the 12th member on the board that's looking on this issue. And maybe that's the approach, to where if we get two commissioners that feel really strongly that we have the right tone, we have the right letter, that they can then bring that back to the board, and be prepared to represent us kind of in bringing it and elevating it forward.
But I think what happened here is Jake and I have been very much involved in this, but we've both been slammed for the last couple of weeks because it's budget time. And so we're both deep in projects that simply haven't allowed us to engage in this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't blame staff for the fact that we just haven't been able to sit down and have these discussions.
Is that a volunteer? Are you volunteering?
I mean, that's how this thing started. Jake and I were, you know, pushing on this, and I'm happy to spend, you know, time to do at least one more review of it, and I could do a review during the next week. So if we can get something written up and drafted within a week and have a quick review of it by myself and by Jake, I'm happy to do that.
I'm sure Stuart could revise this by we'll get it back out to you next Tuesday by close of business, and then.
So does require a modification of your motion then?
No, we just vote no.
Right.
Or just take no action right now.
You take no action now, so you can just run.
You have to vote no on your motion.
Yeah, vote no on the motion.
Okay. All those opposed?
No.
No.
We're not used to voting nay.
So just for clarity, staff is going to go back, tighten up the letter a little bit. You and Jake are going to take another look at it, and then we'll look at it again in 2 weeks when we're back here.
We just volunteer Jake for that. I'm sure he'll be thrilled.
All in favor?
Sorry, Jake. All right. Thank you.
Did actually move the budget along so I can at least breathe a little bit.
Sure, Stuart will be tickled. Okay, I think that puts us down to informational items. It is 3 o'clock, so we're going to keep trying to move through those briskly.
The only one that I think we need to touch on is just bridge monitoring. James, if you want to give everybody everything else,
I think we've covered. Yeah, thank you.
So based on I think I've given a couple of updates on this. So everything is working out there. There's 2 exceptions to that. there's two piers, Pier 5 and 12, that the vibration sensor is not connecting up to the computer. So we're working on those. And then the air gap monitor or the tide sensor, whatever you want to call it, it is installed. It can read data. It just cannot transmit that data. It cannot communicate through the system that we have to transmit data to our server.
Is that because of the Osprey?
No, we've checked that. The Osprey is not interfering with it. It's the connection between the communication device that's attached to the air gap monitor, and then there's another communication device up by the weather station that's talking to the server, but the air gap monitor and the weather station do not communicate together. So we're working on.
And we could just do
that link.
We can't just do this with a stick.
Well, yeah,
you could do it with a laser measurer if you just leaned over the edge.
Yeah, maybe.
So you think it's something software wise, or is it a hardware issue?
It's a software communication issue that we thought, based on what the manufacturers were telling us, they told us that those two devices could speak to each other, but they speak in a different language and they cannot.
Well, who told us that they could when we bought it?
The people who manufactured the device that's connected to the air gap monitor.
So 2 weeks ago, I think you had a specialist you were going to work through when you gave this report.
Yeah, so we had 4 vibration sensors out of sync at that point in time. We've spent our time getting 2 of those, 2 out of the 4 up and running. I just don't have an update on this last piece.
This is just, and the gap monitor is just a different network protocol that's involved, and it's not communicating.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up my notes so I can give people more.
This is kind of this is something I do, so I'm knowing what's going on.
Are the ones that you got connected back and the balance of them, are they pretty stable?
The vibration sensors?
Yes. Can we start collecting real data?
There's real data being collected over the past months
and you can segregate it by bridge pier?
Yes.
When that truck hit the railing and smashed it a day or 2 ago, you got that registered?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet there's a pretty good bump there.
So I think one of the things we talked about earlier today was for Kiva to go back and look at the data and establish a baseline.
Yep.
So we may want to look at that and look at where we're going to do the test pile stuff. And if the ones that are whatever, not working or whatever, aren't where we're going to do the test pile, then we can move forward with the test pile and try to get the other ones working. We don't have to wait for all of them. I don't think it was at 5 and 12 that we were looking.
No, 5 is the one that we were able to, was able to get up and running when everybody else was a career day. One of our folks was not out the water, getting that connected.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
We have to know the bridge isn't sinking already before we start.
We need a baseline.
The bridge is sinking.
So we should have enough data, I think, to get a baseline established, and then we can use that.
The issue is we start pounding a test file. This thing does something. Is that just because that's normal? Or is it
no, but I mean, the bridge could be slowly sinking right now. We don't know because we're not measuring it.
That's right.
All right.
So this is being performed under the phase 1A contract, which has been extended to June 30th this year. So we have about a month to finish everything.
10-4. Yeah, we reminded. Thank you. Thank you.
Have it go down a month, they start paying us?
I think so.
All right.
That's the way the work was written.
So we have upcoming items. I don't think we need to really go through those. They're all in your agenda. And what I think we need to get on to is the executive session. And I think I've got lots of support here, but I'm going to try to go ahead and get this go by myself, and then someone or several will correct me.
There's a number of people who need to be excused.
So I'm just going to read the board commissioners will now meet for an executive session pursuant to ORS 192.662E to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to negotiate real property transactions, and ORS 192.6602H to consult with counsel concerning legal rights and duties of the Bridge Authority with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. And the next paragraph of you representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room or the online meeting. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed to not to report on the otherwise disclose any of the deliberations or anything said about these subjects during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision may be made in the executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to open session and welcome the audience back into the room and any online meeting.
So we should be clear as to whether we are conducting more meeting afterwards or whether we're just returning to adjourn.
Yep.
What's the plan?
Plan is to return and make a decision on one of the discussion items and then adjourn the meeting.
I thought we already dealt with that one.
Now we have there's a different.
Oh, there's a different one. Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So we will return.
All right. And our plan is to return at 4:00 to do that, to finish that meeting.
Yes, and then I'll be recording the minute.